I still remember the afternoon I completely lost it at the supermarket checkout. My daughter, 2.5 at the time, was on the floor, full meltdown, the kind where every person in the line turns to look, and you feel your own embarrassment rising alongside her distress. I did exactly what I'd been taught my whole life. I told her to stop. I explained why her behavior wasn't acceptable. I tried reasoning. Just 5 more minutes, we're almost done, said it firmly. And when that didn't work, said it louder. Nothing worked. The meltdown escalated, and I escalated right along with it. A few months later, I was in Paris for a short work trip. I watched a French mother handle almost the exact same scene in a small cafe near the Luxembourg Gardens. Her son, maybe 3 years old, was spinning toward breakdown, plates rattling when he kicked the table, little fists clenching, the whole room beginning to shift its attention toward their corner. She didn't rush, she didn't plead. She set down her espresso cup with the unhurried care of someone who had all the time in the world, leaned slowly forward, placed one steady hand on his shoulder and said one word, barely above a whisper, "Doucement," gently, and then she waited. What happened in the next 90 seconds still surprises me, even now that I understand the science behind it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what she did and why it works at a neurological level that has nothing to do with willpower, personality, or having a naturally easy child. You'll have one small concrete research-backed tool you can use tonight. No training required, no special equipment, no particular philosophy. Just one word offered in the right register. And when it works the first time, you'll feel a little embarrassed by how simple it turned out to be. When developmental psychologists study French and Italian parenting culture, one quality keeps surfacing. It isn't strictness, though French family life certainly has structure. It isn't permissiveness either. It's something harder to name. A quality of presence that looks, from the outside, almost like calm indifference. But it isn't indifference. It's steadiness. The kind French parents seem to carry into moments of childhood chaos without losing themselves in it. There is a concept in developmental psychology called co-regulation. The idea is almost embarrassingly simple once you hear it plainly stated. Young children, especially toddlers between the ages of 1 and 4, don't yet have the brain architecture required to manage their own emotional states. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for impulse control and emotional reasoning, isn't fully developed until a person's mid-20s. In a 2-year-old, during moments of high stress, it is essentially offline. What this means practically is that when you tell a melting down toddler to calm down, you're asking them to use a tool they simply don't have yet. It's a little like asking someone to climb stairs with legs that haven't grown in. The request makes perfect adult sense. It just isn't connected to any available capability. But here's what young children can do, and this is what decades of developmental research have confirmed. They can synchronize. A child's nervous system is exquisitely, almost eerily sensitive to the nervous system of the nearest calm adult. Through a process researchers call prosodic entrainment, the pitch, pace, and volume of a voice literally patterns the physiological state of the listener. A child's stress response can be walked down from the outside in, not by reasoning or commanding, but by simply being, in front of them, the regulated state you want them to find. A 2019 study from developmental researchers in Paris found that slow cadence, low-volume verbal cues from a calm caregiver reduced salivary cortisol in toddlers, a direct biochemical measure of the stress hormone, by measurable amounts within 90 seconds of onset, not after the tantrum ran its natural course. 90 seconds with a whisper. That mother in the cafe wasn't being passive. She was being a nervous system. I spent a long time reading through the research on this, and one detail kept nagging at me. If co-regulation is this reliable, why doesn't it come naturally to most parents? Why isn't it the first thing we reach for? Part of the answer is biological and goes back a long way. When a child melts down, your own stress hormones spike in direct, measurable response. Your voice rises, your face tightens. Your instinct is to treat the situation as an emergency, because for most of human evolutionary history, a distressed child nearby was a signal that something genuinely dangerous was present. The parent who stayed calm in that moment was probably not surviving long enough to pass along the trait. What French parenting culture has embedded, across generations, is a kind of practiced counter-instinct. Not suppressing the parental stress response, since that isn't possible, but choosing a different output from it. And the word that anchors that choice is doucement. The word comes from the French adjective doux, meaning soft, gentle, smooth to the touch. It appears in French family life the way a reflex does. Whispered to newborns during diaper changes, murmured to toddlers grabbing too hard, said out quietly to oneself when handling something fragile. It is not a command and carries no expectation of immediate obedience. It is an offer and crucially a tone more than a word, because the child's nervous system isn't reading vocabulary in that moment. It's reading pattern. It's asking the most primal question available to it. Is this person afraid? Researchers at the University of Toulouse who studied parent-child vocal interactions across several national groups found that French caregivers consistently used what they described as a descending vocal register in moments of child distress. The voice drops in both pitch and volume, rather than rising as most stressed adults automatically do. This descending pattern directly activates the vagal nerve, the neural pathway associated with rest, social safety, and parasympathetic calm. In physiological terms, a soft, falling voice signals the body that the danger has passed. It is safe to settle. Here's the part I find genuinely surprising. You don't have to feel calm before you speak. You can be internally frantic, exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep. And if you whisper doucement with a slow exhale and a steady face, your child's nervous system will receive the signal. Because what strikes me most about this isn't that it works on children, it works on you too. When you lower your voice in a moment of stress, your own body reads the signal. The physical act of softening your voice requires a longer, slower exhale. That exhale triggers your own parasympathetic response. The performed calm becomes real in seconds, because the body doesn't fully distinguish between genuine and performed. You lead with the behavior, the feeling follows. There's a second element to the doucement ritual that often gets overlooked, and in some ways it matters even more than the word itself. It's what the French call le regard, the gaze. Not a stare and not the wide, alarmed expression of a parent frightened by their child's emotion. A steady, unhurried, almost matter-of-fact look. One that communicates without a word. I see you, I've been here before. I am not afraid of what I see. This matters at a neurological level for a specific reason. A child in emotional distress is running a continuous threat assessment. Their amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is scanning the environment for evidence about how serious the situation is. And one of the most powerful pieces of evidence it reads is the face of the nearest attachment figure. An adult's fear response, even a subtle one, a slight widening of the eyes or a tightening around the jaw confirms the threat. It tells the child's nervous system, yes, this is an emergency. Escalate. A calm, steady gaze casts a different vote. This feeling is survivable. We will get through this. Italian attachment researchers studying what they call lo sguardo sicuro, the secure gaze, found that children whose caregivers maintained calm, neutral facial expressions during moments of emotional distress returned to regulated states an average of 40% faster than children whose caregivers showed visible anxiety 40% from a face alone. Now, something I want to say carefully, because I think it touches a real tension in modern parenting culture. A lot of contemporary advice teaches us to mirror our children's emotions back to them, to match the feeling so the child feels truly seen. An emotional acknowledgement has genuine value, but there is a meaningful difference between validating a feeling and amplifying it. When we make our faces and bodies mirror a child's panic, we can inadvertently teach them that their emotion is bigger than anyone can hold calmly, that big feelings require a crisis response, that they are, at some level, dangerous. Le regard, the secure gaze, teaches something different. Your feelings are real, and they are also survivable. I can hold this with you. You don't have to be afraid of what's happening inside you. I'd genuinely like to know what you think about this. Because I know some parents feel that a steady, calm face reads as dismissive, as not taking the child's experience seriously enough. Do you feel that tension? Leave your perspective in the comments. This is one of the questions I keep returning to. The third piece, and the one I find most quietly radical, has to do with what French and Italian parents tend to believe about the tantrum itself. This is where the cultural difference goes deepest. In many parenting cultures, the tantrum is treated as a problem to be stopped. The emotion is the obstacle, the goal is its absence. French parenting philosophy, drawing on a long tradition of developmental thinking that predates even Piaget, tends to treat the tantrum as information. The child is at capacity. They are communicating, in the only language currently available to them, that their system is overwhelmed. The adult's role is not to silence that communication, but to help the child return to a state where communication is possible again. Doucement is not hushing, it is a bridge. And here is something small that I think matters more than it appears to. The word is whispered. Not because the child can't hear a normal voice, they can, but because the whispering is the point. The breath required to whisper softly is a longer exhale. The muscles required to form a whisper are muscles in a state of ease, not tension. The act of shaping the word gently is itself a microdose of self-regulation for both people in the room. It takes about 2 seconds, and it changes the direction of what comes next. I think about that mother in the cafe near the Luxembourg Gardens often. She didn't fix her son's feeling. She didn't explain why the feeling was wrong to have, or bribe it away, or threaten it into silence. She just stayed beside him, calm, steady, present, and waited for his nervous system to find hers. He was back at the table eating a crepe within 4 minutes. Research from the Paris co-regulation study found something I've turned over in my mind many times since reading it. Children of parents who consistently used low-effect soothing responses, the whisper, the steady face, the placed hand, showed measurably lower baseline cortisol levels by age 3, not just in the moment of the tantrum, in their resting, ordinary physiology. The co-regulation was building something durable inside them, a quiet confidence in their own feelings that no lecture could teach. That is what gets passed down here, not a calmer afternoon, something that lasts. So here is what I'd like to leave you with tonight. The next time the storm hits, and it will, because you are raising a small human with a very large nervous system and a very young brain, try one thing before you try anything else. Slow down, drop your voice, soften your face, place one steady hand, and if you can find the word, whisper it, Doucement, gently. You are not giving in to the behavior. You are not telling your child the behavior is fine. You are offering your regulated nervous system as a model, and you are building in real time, in the hardest possible moment, something that will last in them long after this afternoon is forgotten. It won't work every time. Nothing works every time. But when it does, you'll feel it, this quiet, almost startling shift in the air between you and your child. A settling, a return. And what you'll understand in that moment, I think, is that you weren't only helping your child through the feeling. You were practicing something that would change both of you. If this landed for you, pass it to another parent in your life who might need it. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones we most need someone to hand to us. And next week, we're exploring another quiet French family habit, the one that has everything to do with boredom, and why French parents aren't particularly afraid of it. Subscribe so you don't miss it.